This personal vlog coming up is basically one of my personal views, personal vlog. This is personal vlog number 25, and I'm going to call it my view of the economy since 2008. I live here in Calgary, Alberta, in Western Canada here, and everybody looks at the 2008 as the Great Recession, and it was definitely a big downturn in the economy, especially in the Western world here, and everyone looks at that like as up there with the Great Depression and the big crash that happened in 1987 here. But you know what? I almost feel like that here we are in the middle of February 2019, that I think we haven't really recovered from that recession. Plus, we had another one that started in 2015, and despite what the numbers say, it still feels like it's going on right now. I mean, this also stems off recently, a couple weeks ago, that they say a study that most Calgarians' view of the economy is worse than it actually is. Well, thing is, what I'm going to throw out here kind of supports that, why we think the economy is worse than it really is. I mean, if you look at just the hard numbers in terms of GDP and people on unemployment or unemployment rates, I mean, apparently GDP has gone up the last couple of years. I know the definition of a recession or technical recession is when you have 2 straight quarters of GDP downturn, then you're in a recession here. But thing is, I personally still think things haven't fully recovered since 2008. I mean, in 2008 there was the global financial crisis, it's called, and that was after when here in Western Canada and Alberta, that oil and gas is a big part of our economy here. And I think at one point oil was $147 US a barrel, and then it went down to like $30 a barrel in a few months there, and then it actually slowly got back up to like $60, $70 a barrel a year later, and then hovered around the $70 to $100 a barrel. And everyone looks at 2014 was the last good year, and I still admit that between 2008 and 2014 there was a couple good years there, but I think that time we were still trying to recover, that we never fully recovered until this Great Recession. And we can almost say in this part of the country, this has been the worst recession since the Great Depression, and you almost gotta wonder if we should start throwing out the D word, because we still got vacancy rates downtown that's almost 30%. Everywhere you go, you start seeing more for lease signs, and then you do see numbers that full-time jobs have lost, and they're slowly coming back up. But then when you look at the last couple of years there, then that hasn't really increased there, and we're still a long ways off from 2014. And I'm sure if you look at those numbers from 2014, it's still not even close to 2008 there. I mean, and then the other thing too is that property values have dropped and then slowly have gone up again, just to drop again, which that's definitely been the case in much of my adult working life. I mean, I've been on my own and own where I live for the last 10 years. I mean, I did move in 2015, but I wanted to move a couple years before that as my lifestyle and needs changed. But unfortunately, the property value dropped enough, and what I still have to owe, I had to wait till I got a little bit of equity just so I can put 5% down and pay everybody involved in the process that you got to go through when you're moving. And you got to remember, when you're selling, you got to pay 2 realtors, your realtor that you hired to conduct your real estate transaction, and the seller's realtor gets paid, so you got to pay both of those realtors. So I mean, it's definitely a much more difficult task when you're buying and selling at the same time. And definitely was a learning experience for me. But me personally, I still feel like that, with cost of living, inflation, and taxes still keep going up you're never going to get ahead here because salaries, they remain stagnant, and maybe you'll get now they call it a salary adjustment, that your paychecks, you take home a little more, but when you factor in everything else that's gone up, and how the heck are you supposed to get ahead here? I mean, and the other thing that I think why this recession has been worse, even though they say it hasn't been as bad for everybody else elsewhere in the country, and even the U.S. hasn't had much of a recession since their housing crisis. But even then, they might still be saying the same thing I'm saying about they're still trying to find this recovery. Is that prices haven't gone back up again, or people still trying to get back on their feet and rebuilding again, while jobs are not as plenty, or when there is, they're not high quality, and then the pay is just not there, and that definitely still feels like it. I feel like I keep working harder but not getting ahead. And I think the other factor in too is that it's the governments that we have in charge here right now, especially with a little more liberal and socialist, where their philosophy is just tax and spend. I definitely, I consider myself a hardcore conservative, and I believe in smaller governments and less taxes here. And that's definitely what I feel like it's been holding us back, is all these policies and taxes and that keep going up. And it's fine that the minimum wage has gone up, but it's gone up too fast, too soon. But then, some experts say if minimum wage also kept up with inflation too, then the minimum wage should be over $20 an hour too. But I definitely believe in this saying that, in a capitalist economy, the bread wait for the people, while in a socialist economy, the people wait for the bread. As in the socialist economy, people line up to get bread, as opposed in the capitalist economy, the bread's there lining up for the people to buy it. And that's what definitely it feels like right now. And things just haven't recovered. There's lots of other numbers that they try to spin it, that what happens if people are unable to get unemployment, or their benefits run out and they go on welfare. And that's another thing I feel most people will be screwed on, is the fact that they'll say, oh, you don't qualify because you made too much money a couple of years ago, but we're not going to help you now. But then there's the other people that seem to always get the help here. But yeah, that's just basically my take on the economy since 2008, that despite what all the numbers and that say, most people still feel like that things haven't fully recovered, and gotta wonder if they'll ever get to recover. And will people in my demographics actually get to retire and get to enjoy retirement when our parents and grandparents move on and pass on. And then you got kids today, we're supposed to be counting on them to take care of us when we get older, which sometimes that keeps me up at night, knowing that we're going to be counting on to take care of our parents and kids. There's another term called the sandwich generation, and we're starting to get stuck in that. But that's just kind of my take, that things, despite what all the numbers say from like the Bank of Canada or the government saying that, oh, things are good again. I said, well, isn't for most people, especially here in Calgary. Edmonton seems to be doing a little better, but their city's definitely based a lot more on service and government jobs. So of course they're going to recover first and a little better than we are. But and then the other thing I just thought of too is that one of the things that Alberta's done recently is that the price of oil is based on the West Texas price, but then you got the Alberta price that was barely $10 a barrel there. We cut production, and so kind of ironic that these governments, especially the Liberal government and even the BC government, are so against all these pipelines and that, and yet they got to wonder what keeps your car running and your house warm at the end of the day here, when you're hurting the industry that's helping and providing for the country. And It also seems to be another thing about Western relation here. But yeah, what do you guys feel about the economy since 2008, especially if you live in my part of the country here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada? But I'm still waiting for the recovery, and I think I'm still comparing it to, let's say, if you got drunk really, really bad, and you passed out, and you're just waking up now with a bad headache. That's what I'm gonna still say the economy is right now. But you're not forever at full steam, but you're getting older and takes more time to recover from it. So before I ramble on too much more, and got other videos I plan to make here, but what do you think about the economy since 2008? Are you kind of thinking like me that you still don't have the confidence in making big purchases, or just don't feel like that things are back to where they were? And are you still trying to recover yourself and wondering how you get ahead? So anyway, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along with all my personal blogs or all my sports takes, and I'll see you in the next video.